Good morning. I am at the airport in Lisbon. It is not even 3 in the morning. I had to leave Lagos at midnight to be able to catch my flight to the Ecuador. I'm tired. I'm going to Ecuador. I usually book early morning flights to save money, and that's definitely the case here. In fact, I managed to get this flight upgraded to business class using my points, so it was kind of free. So don't worry about me being sleepy. I'll get to lay flat and catch some serious rest soon. And honestly, isn't there something special about being exhausted? Being this tired just seems to accentuate the senses and emotions. In travel, it makes you more sensitive to your surroundings, and in a weird way, more excited. Honestly, I often feel so desensitized to the process of travel. It's like an addiction. You just constantly need to feed yourself more and more challenges to gain the same rush from travel. I sometimes feel this urge to just make travel harder for me. And that being said, landing in Quito spins back all sorts of excitement on its own. The light and landscapes here are always so dramatic. It's like a lingering pause of anticipation is always hanging in the air. Okay, just landed in Quito. Kind of a trip. It's been a while since I've been in Ecuador, but I used to be here all the time, so it kind of feels like coming home a little bit. Kind of crazy. My bag matches the taxi. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo está?
Buenas tardes.
Wow.
Al Hotel San Francisco.
Hotel San Francisco. Sí.
En la calle Guayaquil y Sucre.
Sucre y Guayaquil, sí, señor. Quito has changed a lot since I was first here about 16 years ago. The airport isn't right in the middle of the city anymore, for example. There has obviously been a bit of a flow of money as well. The suburbs are packed with beautiful apartment blocks, and shopping malls seem to be popping up everywhere. But a lot is the same. They still love pickup trucks, fried chicken, and Jesus. And the light still always lingers somewhere between storm and sanctuary. The hills are still not a singular green, but rather a palette of different shades. Okay. I made it to Quito. I'm in my hotel, and it's kind of crazy. The last time I was here in Quito in Ecuador was just before the pandemic started. It was 2019, December. And I remember how I felt when I was here last. I felt like really excited about the way things were going. My career was starting to take off. I was starting to make some money. I was starting to grow my YouTube channel. It felt like things were going really well. It felt like I made it. And it was really exciting. So it's kind of funny being back now, 4 years later, in what kind of feels like a blink of an eye and kind of feels like a whole new world. It's absolutely crazy how much has changed in my life in those 4 years, but at the same time, those 4 years feel like a snap. It's wild. But yeah, I'm really tired and I'm gonna get some sleep, and then in the morning, yeah, we'll see what Quito's like. Okay, so I'm up. I've been up since 3 in the morning. Some might call it jet lag. I think it's just an early morning, and I like getting up at 3 in the morning. It just means I get an early start of the day. I came up to the rooftop terrace here at the hotel, which is pretty awesome because you just get these beautiful views. And I've just been enjoying the morning. Now, this trip is a Galapagos trip. I'm leading a group of people out to the Galapagos Islands, and today and tomorrow were kind of rendezvous days, organization days, stuff like that. So today I'm going to be doing a bunch of admin. Tomorrow we'll do some exploring and some photography here in Quito, and then we'll get out to the Galapagos Islands for some wildlife photography. I'm so excited. I should touch on this since I'm sure you'll ask. Yes, Ecuador has been in the news a lot this year for all the wrong reasons. No, I don't think these things should stop you from visiting or traveling to Ecuador. They really don't affect tourists at all. After a day of desk work and an evening of food, we head out on a walk around Quito in the afternoon. It's funny. When I look back at the video clips from the future, I see photos within them. I see scenes, faces, and moments I wished I'd captured in photos. But walking the streets, I just didn't see it. Sure, there are a couple decent street images along the way, like this image of a taxi rolling in front of the cathedral, or this wide angle from right on the street. But I'm sort of feeling like I wish I had that first trip sensitivity back. So we climb into the cathedral tower to see if a 100-meter drop down a sketchy ladder would make me feel something. Just climbing a ladder to my death, no big deal. Max, catch me. Ah! Don't die. But did you die? Kind of scary. Max doesn't have to catch me, luckily. And the climb up the ladders of doom definitely get the blood flowing a little bit. We've made it up to the Basilica and the view above the Basilica, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm absolutely having such a good time in Quito, but I'm feeling a little bit sad because I feel like over my many years of traveling, I lost the sensitivity to it. And I think it makes it harder as a photographer. I think when you go to a place for the first time, you travel for the first time, you're so sensitive to everything, and then you kind of get desensitized to it a little bit. And when you're still sensitive, you still see those photos that are unique and crazy. After you become a little bit desensitized, you kind of forget what's crazy and what's unique. And so I'm struggling a little bit with that. It makes me a little bit sad. I wish I could almost go back and feel how I felt 15 years ago, but still having a great time and still really excited because the one thing I never get desensitized to is wildlife sightings. And in the morning, we're on our way to the Galapagos Islands. Someone said to me once, when you go to a place the first time, you see the obvious. The more you go, the more you start to see the details as the obvious starts to bore you. And when looking through my frames from this day, I find a couple keepers. The scene of a woman smoking off her balcony with the city down below really works for me. We continue our walk until it gets dark and then retreat into bed. In the morning, our adventure to the island starts. I don't think some people realize how far removed the Galapagos Islands are from the mainland. It's not a short hop, it's a full 2.5 hour flight. The same distance as New York to Chicago, or London to Rome. When you land at the Galapagos, you're immediately confronted by the fact that, well, this place is unique. Hey, we have landed in the Galapagos Islands. It's harshly beautiful, dotted with cactus, crawled by land iguanas, and surrounded by incredibly blue seas. We arrive at the port but have to sneak around a mother sea lion and her pup to get onto the Zodiac. Then we have to dodge a floating pelican to get to our yacht.
Look at the size of the bathroom.
You could do a poo in it. Wow, it's huge. We could put another bed in here.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, I got candy in my mouth. But Daniel, my roommate, rooms on board. The tip-top 2 were super nice. I think we'll move the beds together and just cuddle for warmth. Yeah, it's nice. Bathroom is huge. Probably could have fit another bed in here. Shower, toilet, no bidet. What's with that? No bidet. But yeah, this is home for the next 5 days. Excited for this. Okay, let me show you around the rest of the ship. The tip-top is a catamaran, which means that space is a bit more closed. There's a meeting room at the front, then a dining room at the back, and there are 3 open decks. The lowest, the second is a bar, and then on top is a sun deck. Pretty stoked to be back here. This is absolutely beautiful. Just on the bus ride from the airport, which is literally right there, we saw about 10 sea turtles in the water. We saw 3 iguanas, land iguanas, and we saw a couple sea lions on the dock as well. So yeah, and there's even some frigate birds flying up way off in the distance there, and a pelican. Yeah, it's just so special here. Ecuador is just so diversely unique. It's crazy to imagine it's the same country here as it was in Quito. As we load up on the Zodiac and head to the beach, we feel worlds away from where we were just a couple hours ago. So over this video, if your question is ever what lens are you using, it's my old EF 100-400. I've been using this lens for like a decade probably, and it's the only long lens I have. And yeah, I probably would like about 500 millimeters here and maybe a faster lens, but it definitely does the trick for a place like the Galapagos. So I'm using my trusty EF 100-400 millimeter. Probably need to upgrade this pretty soon. Just don't know what I want yet. Okay, that's a lie. I know exactly what I want. I want Canon to make a 200-600 millimeter f5.6 lens that costs less than a Ferrari. I want them to stop making cheap telephotos and make a mid-range one specifically for me. At the moment, it's hard to see the need to upgrade when it's still doing the trick, capturing special moments, or sometimes harsh moments. This egret has robbed a nest and taken a baby turtle. Okay, so we just had one of those moments that's both amazing and sad at the same time. There's a great heron behind me, and it was just picking at the nest of a turtle and actually found a baby turtle. And so it picked out a baby turtle out of the sand and walked down to the beach trying to swallow it, trying to eat it. And I was racing around at a fair distance trying to capture the right angle. I wanted it to be backlit because it would show the separation of the turtle in the heron's mouth. But I was almost panic shooting because I just couldn't get the right angle. And the moment I thought I had the right angle, I kind of spray and prayed a couple photos. And just when I had that right angle, the heron swallowed the baby turtle. And I thought I missed it until I chimped my camera and I realized I got the perfect moment with the heron's mouth wide open, the baby turtle flying and looking into the mouth of the heron. And it's just one of those photos that I think is really, really special. That being said, I think it's also out of focus, but I'm not sure I care. I'm not sure I care at all. It's just, it's one of those moments that you only have in places like this. So good already, 1.5 hours into the Galapagos Islands. Here are a couple more images of the moment leading up to the doom of the baby turtle. And from the egret, I walked down to the beach. I love Sally Lightfoot crabs, and I wanted to play with different exposures to capture a unique feeling image. I slowed down the shutter for a dreamy moment. Then I got really low to try to capture the crab in a way that made it feel imposing. Finally, I made friends with a young marine iguana. Mauricio, as he's so obviously known, was kind enough to wander slowly down the beach runway posing for me. I managed to capture a couple images I like. As the sun sets, it's time for us to head back to the ship. The Galapagos Islands are protected and you can only be on land, outside the cities, during the daylight hours. So, we board the ship, settle in for the night. And at first light, we're off again. Day 2 here in the Galapagos. We've landed at a place called Galapagos, which is a place I've never been, and actually most people don't come, but there's been an avian bird flu outbreak for the past couple of years, and so a lot of the bird colonies are kind of off limits, so we're going to new places or different places that will have less of an impact on potentially spreading the bird flu. And La Galapagos is one of them. Apparently there's not a massive amount of wildlife on this section, but what there is giant tortoises. And according to our guide, it's not one of those guaranteed situations. It's one of those, if we're really lucky, we'll see one. So we're gonna hike a couple hours and hopefully find one. So we walked for about 30 minutes or so, and we actually found a juvenile giant tortoise. Still haven't seen a big one, but the juvenile was pretty cool and pretty curious about us. So a couple photos of that, and we're moving again. Guides in the Galapagos Islands get a bit spoiled. Our guide was complaining, or at least tempering expectations, about this landing for days. But here we are on the dusty trails, and the giant tortoises are all over the place. Basically every bit of shade, where it's hard to take a photo, there's a tortoise. They aren't easy to photograph. Sticks block their face, they turn their backs on us, and sometimes they'd be easily mistaken for rocks. But we do what we can. And I mean, how often do you get to say that you photographed a wild giant tortoise? The part that's missing from this video is the part where we all nearly overheat and desperately throw ourselves into the beautiful blue waters to cool down. The tortoises were special, the heat was oppressive, and this water, it's paradise. Okay, so after morning cruising around, we're at Cerro Brujo, which is this mountain over here, and this beach is kind of paradise. I mean, it is unreal here. And I'm in this kind of bit of a battle with myself and what I want, because I think the landscapes here are really cool, and I don't think enough people photograph the landscapes of the Galapagos Islands. But we also have to be out of here by sunset, so you can't really do proper sunset photos. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to do a landscape photo or a seascape photo, or if I want to do a wildlife photo. I don't really know. Another option is you have this rock called Kicker Rock way out that way, and I think it might be a really cool photo to get a bird or something in that frame. But I just don't know if it's worth waiting for or if it will happen. So Bit of a dilemma, photographer's dilemma right now. Wildlife photography, landscape photography, maybe both at the same time? I don't know, but I got about an hour to figure it out. Photography FOMO is real. As I'm scouting landscapes, I think of the wildlife photography. As I set my lens on wildlife, I'm worried that I'm gonna miss the light on landscapes. So I decide, I'll do 20 minutes of mammal photography, 20 minutes of birds, and 20 minutes of landscapes. Hopefully this works out. As the sun comes down, the sea lions start to glow in brilliant golden light. So I search for a composition. Eventually I find one set uncomfortably on a rock. I love the way she matches the sandscape and the way she fits among the rock like a missing piece of a jigsaw puzzle. Then I set my sights on the birds. Okay, I've been having quite a bit of fun photographing pelicans and a booby and some of the sea lions. I don't know if there's any good photos there, but I've been having fun. With the birds, I've been kind of playing around with some, not longer exposures, but exposures long enough to show some sort of like movement in the background, a little bit of panning, if you will. And I think there's a couple in there that might look artistic. I don't really know. These are my 4 favorites. A pelican on takeoff. A blue-footed booby floating among choppy seas. The previously photographed pelican soaring along the waters. And my personal favorite, this abstract of the pelican landing with a slow shutter. But yeah, I think now that it's getting a bit darker, I'm gonna switch to a landscape photo. There's some really beautiful rocks down here in the foreground. And even though the light's not perfect, and even though I think the tripod I brought with me is way too small, I'm gonna try to make a photo. As if they were jealous, the sea lions started to wake up as soon as I set up my tripod. They barked at me as if they were demanding to be photographed. And I ignore them as long as I can. So I've got filters on, so sorry if I look weird. Let me push that up. Yeah. I've been waiting for a very specific moment when the sun comes below the cloud here and above the rock to get kind of a sun star on my frame. And I was just set up here for the longest time and not really paying attention. And out of nowhere, I looked down and there was a sea lion right in the bottom. So I must have swam up here when I wasn't paying attention and dropped in here. I'm still at a safe distance here. You have to be 2 meters away, but apparently the sea lion didn't think I was a safe distance away and actually chased me back. So I had to like move back a little bit. It just chased me up the beach. So a little bit of a shocking moment here, waiting for sunset. And actually my moment's happening, so I better put the camera back on the tripod. In the end, the photo works, and my photography strategy has paid off as well, I think. I think there's about 6 decent images. Content, we boarded the ship and spent another lovely evening on the waters of the Galapagos Islands. So we woke up this morning and photographed Kicker Rock from the ship. And then now we've cruised out to a place called Isla de Lobo, or Isla Lobo, something like that, which means Wolf Island. I guess in this case, Sea Lion Island. And we can't land here. Because of the bird flu situation, there's too many risks to going through here. There's been a lot of cases of bird flu already in this area. So instead we're just gonna be cruising along the shores trying to photograph some of the birds from more of a distance. The weather's not ideal. We're kind of getting spit on a little bit, but tons and tons of frigate birds, it looks like, up that way. I've seen some Nazca boobies along the shoreline, and yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be fun. It's definitely a different experience this time on the Galapagos Islands. From a photography standpoint, it's harder. I mean, I can hardly grab a video clip on these choppy waters from the Zodiac, let alone properly compose a photograph. But still, there are moments and perspectives that you just can't get from land. Like this blue-footed booby posing. These are some of my favorite photos from our cruise along the shores. Excuse me, bud. Sorry, buddy, I gotta go. Okay, so we're in San Cristobal, just basically at the Interpretation Center in town here. On San Cristobal, there's the second biggest town on the Galapagos Islands. And we arrived here, and I'm just going on a bit of a walk. The nature in the Galapagos, beyond the wildlife, is really underrated. So here you've got huge lava rocks, cactus everywhere, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm not expecting to see any wildlife really on this hike, other than maybe some birds, definitely some birds, but it's just nice to kind of like get out and walk and enjoy the landscapes here because they're so underrated. The lava set landscapes feel like another world. With a mix of cactus and tropical, it almost feels as though worlds have collided here. And I guess in a way they have. I hike around the sun-swept landscapes without looking for photos, but rather just stretching my legs and appreciating this unique place as much as I can. I'm just walking by the beach. There's a fun situation here because you have people lounging right next to sea lions. And I'm quite a ways up the beach and there's a park bench and there's a sea lion just lounging out on the park bench. Absolutely surreal. I heard a local say that the sea lions are like the dogs of San Cristobal, but they're not. Dogs are obedient, loyal followers. Sea lions are tyrants. Sea lions have no masters and they own these shores. They own this town. They don't care if your motorcycle is parked there. They're using it as shade. Sea lions don't roam this town. They own it. With evening setting in, we return to our floating digs for some sleep, and as we do, we're whisked away to another island. In the morning, we head off in Zodiacs, and again we're not able to touch land due to the risks of the bird flu, so we bob up and down on the Zodiacs as we photograph everything from marine iguanas to sea lions to herons. We even spot a Galapagos hawk. My favorite images from the morning, though, are a couple of blue-footed boobies. I love the way they can go from looking evil to idiots in a couple seconds. And I love the chaos of this frame of the sea lion coming to steal their rocky landing spot. So we are on Española Island now. I haven't filmed much today because we've been mostly on the Zodiacs. Part of this bird flu pandemic, if you will, on the Galapagos has meant that you can't really visit any place that there are bird colonies right now to stop the transmission of this bird flu. It's meant that we're photographing things from the boat a lot, from the Zodiac, and then on beaches like this. That being said, today was awesome. One of the better days ever. From the Zodiac, we just had a really cool experience this morning and lots of photos. And then we've been in the water snorkeling the rest of the day. I didn't take any underwater camera on this trip. I kind of just been enjoying it. And yeah, it was absolutely epic. Saw some sharks, lots of turtles, played with sea lions, just had an incredible time. And now we're ending the day here at Gardner Beach. And this is one of my favorite places on the planet for sunset. It's just white sand, sea lions, and just absolutely beautiful water. That's not your camera bag, that's somebody else's. Okay, that is it. I was going to photograph the landscapes actually at sunset, but then I just had so much fun like trying to photograph a mockingbird that was messing around with me. Mocking me, in fact. That I just didn't take any sunset photos, and the sun's just going down now, so I don't think I'll have time to do that. But so much fun in the Galapagos Islands. It was definitely different this trip, not being able to be in the colonies, but being on the zodiacs more. But I am all for anything that protects the wildlife, so I'm not complaining that we haven't been able to get up through the wildlife. I want there to be wildlife still here in 3 years for me to visit, and 30 years for me to visit, and 300 years for somebody else to visit. So I don't mind so much that we're taking these extra steps to protect the birds. And I am going to end this video, and I'll have a couple more days from the Galapagos coming up, and then I gotta get back to Portugal. See you guys next time. Peace.